What's going on, guys? Zach here, and welcome to another Java game development tutorial. Today what we're going to be doing is looking into creating a shop for our game. So right now what we have is a game where you dodge these boxes, and we've got different enemies, we've got boss battles, we've got menus, we've got pause systems in it, and now we're gonna just do we've also got sounds in it as well, which is awesome. So we're just gonna do the shop, and I'm not gonna make it pretty. I'm not going to spend a lot of time to make it really fancy. I'm really just sort of giving you like the mechanic of how you would go about doing something like this, and I'll let you guys make it pretty. All right, and so this is also sort of coming towards one of the last episodes of the series, so there's probably going to be a couple more after this. Definitely going to show you guys how to go about exporting your game and putting it onto a marketplace. But right now, because this series is stretched so long, the code's actually become sort of code rotted in a sense now that there's been these new JDKs and JREs, and so things aren't working exactly how they were working before. So what I also did was, from our last episode, we added graphics into the game. I just took that out because I didn't really like the graphics, but it was something that you guys wanted to know how to do, so I went ahead and made a tutorial. But for now, we have the graphics out of the game. So let's go ahead and start up the video. Alright, so the first thing we're going to want to do is, first off, since we're having a shop, we're going to want to create another state for our shop, and I'm just going to name it shop. Pretty simple. And I'm going to create a new class, and I'm going to name it shop. And here's where we're going to update everything and make everything work, right? So here I'm going to put in a constructor for our shop and a render method. Render graphics G. Control-Shift-O to import that. And then I'm going to extends our mouse adapter. And this is basically allowing us to add a mouse listener onto our class. So if we say public void mouse pressed mouse event E, and Control-Shift-O to import the mouse event. Now because we're extending that mouse adapter and we're going to add a mouse listener onto our shop class, it's going to look for this every time, this method every time we click the mouse. All right. So in our render method, this is where we're going to draw out how the shop looks. For now, I'm going to go ahead and let's see here. Go to our game, and in our render method, we want to draw in the shop, right? So we're going to say else if game state equals state dot help, or I'm sorry, not help, shop. Oh, I said help. Let me grab this, bring it down here. So here's where we're going to draw in our shop. We haven't actually implemented the shop yet. So here I'm going to create it right here. Private shop. Alright, pretty simple. And we're going to want to probably put it right underneath the heads up display. So shop equals new shop. And I went ahead and made the system beforehand just so we know exactly where we're going. So we're also going to want to have our handler inside our parameters for our shop, because we're going to be accessing the handler to change things that we press. So for example, I'm going to add 3 things into the shop. Okay, we're going to have an upgrade our health, we're going to be able to upgrade our speed, and we're going to be able to refill our health completely. Alright, pretty simple stuff. So let's go ahead, and in our game here, we can just type in handler. Now remember, when you're putting in shop, you want to have it underneath our handler, because if you put this above the handler, we're now calling something that has not yet been initialized. So we're going to get a null pointer. All right. So now that we've got the shop initialized, I'm going to go ahead and go to our render method, which is right here. And we're going to say shop.render graphics G, or just G in there. And that will render the shop when we're in the state of our shop. All right. Now, in order to get to the shop, we're going to be able to press space. So in our heads up display, we're going to go ahead and draw it, which I already did actually. I forgot to take that out. So g.drawString space for shop at 15 coordinate X, 94 coordinate Y. So let's run the game. So here we have space for shop. We hit space, nothing really happens, and we've got the shop integrated, but again, we cannot see the shop because of the fact that we aren't able to access the shop yet. We can't change the state of the menu over because we don't have that put in. So let's go ahead and go to the key input, and we'll go right under here, and we'll say if key equals key event dot vk space. We'll add curly braces there, and we'll say if game dot state, or I'm sorry, game dot game state equals state dot game. Then we are going to set game dot game state to equal state dot shop. Else game dot game state equals state dot game. Alright, so pretty simple. So what we're doing here is we're saying if we hit space, we're going to check if we're in the game, then we're going to change it to the shop. If we're in the shop, or anywhere else for that matter, then we're going to change it to the game. And you know what? Let's actually change this to else if game.gameState equals state.shop. Because if we just put else, we can actually be in the menu system or the wherever else, and it could still change it. So here, this is only really going to be activated if we're in either the game or the shop. So if we're in the menu system and we hit space, it's not going to do anything because we don't have anything set for the menu. Alright, so now we can change it. So let's go ahead and run the game and try that out. So we hit space, and our heads-up display goes away, but we still have all of our player and enemy, which I'm not sure why. I think if we go to the game here, and I think because we're handling, or we're rendering all of the handlers functions, so if we take this out, and we say if the game state equals that, or if it's the menu, help, and so forth, then we'll render that. So in other words, we're not going to be rendering it. It's still there, but we're not just going to render it if our state is at the shop. Okay? So pretty simple stuff. Let's go ahead and run the game and make sure that works. Alright, we hit space and everything goes away. We hit space again and we're back in game. So it's almost like a pause feature that we have, but it's going to be a shop, obviously. Alright, so now we've accessed the shop, so let's go ahead and draw out the shop. So first I'm going to say g.setColor, color.white, and then we'll say, we'll create a font, g.draw, or set font, and we are going to make this a new font. Now remember, I'm not going to make this pretty. I'm not going to be debugging it and making sure everything's even and nice. Alright, so let's create a new font, and let's just say g.drawString shop, and we'll make this at game.width divided by 2 minus 100, we'll say, and 50. Alright, so we're just going to draw like the header of the shop. So now we can go about creating the boxes. So I'm going to say g.draw, or set font, new font, Arial 0, and we'll make it the font size of 12. And we're going to say g.drawString Or let's draw the rectangle first, actually, just so we have sort of a balance of where to go. So I'm going to draw the rectangle coordinates at 100, 100. The width will be 100, and the height will be 80. Okay. And then we can draw in the string. So g.drawString, and we're going to say upgrade health. Uh, 110, 120. And then here we're going to say g.drawString cost, because everything obviously has a cost. And we're going to do plus, and let's create variables up here. Private int b1, box1 I guess we can call it, equals 1,000. Private int b2 equals 1,000. And for this tutorial we're just going to create 3. Private int b3, and you can put this into an array if you'd like. And then we're going to say plus b1. So the cost is going to be 1,000. We're just going to use your score, the actual score that you have that it tallies up, as your actual payment system in the game. So here we're going to say 110 and 140. Seems like a nice even number. I'm going to comment in box 1. Let's copy this. Paste it 2 more times. Obviously change it to box 2 and box 3. Here I'm going to say B2 and B3. And we don't need to change, we don't need to set a new font every time for that, so that's good. So here we're going to say upgrade speed. And I think what we're going to want is to make it 250. So this will be 260. 260. And then we'll make this 400, 410, 410, and we'll say refill health. Pretty simple stuff. So let's go ahead and run the game and see what we get. Alright, so here it is. We hit space, and look at that. That actually looks pretty nice. So we have upgrade health, cost 1,000, upgrade speed cost 1,000, refill health cost 1,000. So when we click it, we can obviously upgrade things. So here I'm going to put in our heads up display as well. So HUD, HUD, because what I want to do is also display our score, because that looks, that's sort of a must. They need to know how much they're able to spend. So here I can say, not in our heads up display, in our shop, g.drawString score plus HUD.getScore. And here we can say game.width divided by 2 minus 50. And our Y could be 300. And then let's copy this, and let's say press space to go back. I'll make this at 330. So now it displays a score and all of that stuff. So now we need to actually make it work. So let's create in our mouse pressed int mx equals e.getX, which will get our mouse inputs x, e.getY. So wherever we press on the screen, it's going to store it in the mx and my coordinates. And here we're going to do just a pretty simple method to see if our mouse is between a certain coordinate points. So we're going to say if mx, and we're going to say box1 is greater than or equal to 100, and mx is less than or equal to 100, and then this would be plus our width, so we'll just say 200 because our width is 100. Then we're going to say if my is greater than or equal to our height, which is 100, and my is less than or equal to 180. Alright, so basically if all of that, if we press the mouse and it's between these coordinates here, which was our first box's coordinates, then basically you've selected box 1. So let's go ahead and bring it down to box 2 and box 3. So we'll tab that over. Box 2 and box 3. So box 2 is going to be 250. 250 there. And since you have, this would be 350 since the width is 100. And then this is 400. And this would be 500. This is box 3 and box 2. So here, just we can say system.out.println to make sure that it's working. Box 1, copy it, paste and paste. Box 2, box 3, and then in our game class, in the constructor, we're going to say this.addMouseListener shop. Let's run the game. Alright, so we hit space and we click, and you can see we have box 1, box 2, and box 3. So it's all working. If we click anywhere around it, we're not going to get anything even in between here. So that system works nicely. So now all we have to do is make it so that we can go back, or I'm sorry, we can upgrade the actual thing. So if we hit upgrade health, we actually want it to upgrade. We want it to check if we have 1,000 score, we want to subtract it, and then we want to add to the cost and actually upgrade the health, along with the speed and the refill health. Alright, so what we're going to do is for our shop, when we upgrade our health, we're just going to extend the health bar. So here I'm going to say if HUD.getScore is greater than or equal to B1, and that right there tells us that, okay, if it's greater than or equal to, then you have enough points to go ahead and make the upgrade. So I know right off the bat, the first thing I want to do is B1 plus equals 1,000, because in order to get even more health, now it's going to cost 2,000 instead of 1,000. Alright, and here we can go ahead and say HUD.setScore, HUD.getScore minus B1. So it's going to take our score that we have now and then subtract it by B1, which would be 1,000. And actually, this needs to go above that, because if we put it below it, we've already added 1,000, it would subtract 2,000 from it. That's got to be the first thing that we do. Alright, so we can copy this for our second box and our third box. Just say B2, B3. Although for our health refill, I don't actually want it to add 1,000. I always want that to be 1,000 points. Alright, and so this is sort of, if you have your own game that you're making, this is all going to be very exclusive to your sort of coding, right? If you have different power-ups and things like that, I'm going to go about and show you how I would do upgrading your health and upgrading your player's speed and the refill health. But like, you know, if you want to jump higher or something, that's all exclusive to your code and, you know, adding variables to that. So here, our first one, which is upgrade our health. What we're going to do is go to our heads-up display, which we have our health right here. And here you can see that we are clamping our health to 100, and we want to actually add to that value, right? So there are two ways of going about increasing health. You can increase the actual health of your in-game variables, or you can make it so that the enemy hurts you with less damage than it does, sort of giving the illusion that you have more health, but you're just reducing the enemy's strength. And the method we're going to be doing here is we're actually going to be adding to the health bar. So if you get enough upgrades, you can get that health bar all the way across the screen, which looks cool. Alright, so what we're going to need to do for that, because that we've had these different variables with filling outlines and all that stuff, we're going to create another variable called bounds, and it's going to equal 0. And this bounds, we're going to add to the width of it. So we're going to say plus bounds, and here plus bounds, and this is just going to extend sort of the border and all of that stuff on it. All right, and then here we're gonna clamp the health plus our bounds divided by 2. And the reason we divide it by 2 is because in our fill rect, we're taking our health and we're multiplying it by 2. So if we have our bounds 10, this is going to be 210, but since we're multiplying it and we're adding to our health, that's going to be 220, and we want to divide it by 2, so it would be back to 210 in line with everything. Alrighty, so it looks like all of that should be good. Now if we go to the shop here, what we can do is say bounds plus equals 20. Oh, I'm sorry. This would be HUD.bounds. And HUD.health equals HUD.bounds, I believe. Let me check. We're actually going to set it to 100 plus HUD.bounds divided by 2. There we go. And it's very simple on why we do this. We're setting it to 100 because that's the starting value. And then let's say, for example, we've upgraded our health 5 times. Then our bounds would be at 100. And our health, if we didn't divide it by 2, would be at 200. But then you multiply that by 2, and that's 400 in our heads-up display. We don't want that. Alright, we only want to multiply it by 200, which is why we divide by 2. Alright, so just by doing that, that should work for that. Now let's go ahead and go to our speed. And then also, actually we can just take this and put it right down here. And that will give us the full health. Alright, so we go ahead and go up here to our speed, and this one's kind of tricky. Again, it's very exclusive to your code. What I did to do this was I went, because our key input, we have, you see, let's see here. We have these magic numbers here. 5, -5, 5, -5. And this is actually the movement code. This is how fast we're going. So if we could just take these magic numbers and put them into a variable and then alternate that variable, then we've got something going. So in my handler class, I'm just going to create a public int speed equals 5. And then in the key input, all I have to do is say handler dot speed, and then just add the negatives where they should be. So 5, 5, and then this would be negative handler speed. And then in our shop, since we already have handler created, all we have to do is say handler.speed plus plus. So we're adding 1 to it. So now every time you move, it would be 6. And then if you upgrade it again, it would be 7, 8, 9, 10, etc. Alright, so let's go ahead and try out the game. Alright, so here we go. We're running around. We can't buy anything yet because we only have a score of 153 and everything costs 1,000. So let's go ahead and try and dodge. And I apologize, I'm not sure. Camtasia has been sort of weird to me lately, where it's been laggy. So I apologize for that. So let's go ahead and upgrade my health, which we just did. The cost is now 2,000. We go back and we now have an upgraded health bar, which is really cool. Let's see if we can make it so that we can refill the health, which we just did, and our health's refilled now. Let's make everything though 100, just so we can test it. So here we just set everything to 100, and then we'll just add it by 100. and run the game. Alright, so here we're going to upgrade our speed. Let's upgrade it again. So as you can see, we are getting faster. Upgrade it again. Now we're going real fast. Let's upgrade our health. Our health is extended out that way. Do it again. Color parameter outside of expected range, green value. Okay, so let's go ahead and look into our heads-up display here. Alright, so after a little bit of further testing, what I did was, actually, if I just move that green value above our clamping in the tick, it actually solved the problem for us. So here we have, I'm in my shop now, and I've upgraded my health pretty substantially, more than we tested beforehand, and I'm not getting the issue. And the only reason this was prevalent was because the green value, where if you start hitting the player, the value goes down, or I'm sorry, the color value goes down. So you get kind of that darker green, which is a cool effect. So if we do it again and get a larger health bar, refill the health, and it seems to have solved the issue. So there we go. We have a shop in our game now. So go leave a like, go and subscribe. Let's go ahead and try for 200 likes this time. You guys have been awesome. You've been loving the series. So again, I'm not sure on what I'm going to be doing next, whether there's going to be an end to the series or not. But I will show you this, that if there's an end to the series, I am definitely going to be keeping up on my Java and showing you guys some stuff that you've never seen from me before. So, alright, go leave a like, go and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.